if you were sitting across the table from somebody and they're like, oh, I've seen it, I've got it, I understand it, but I still don't, I'm skeptical. What would you say to somebody sitting across the table?
Well, I can cure all skepticism by just logging in and showing people what the possibilities are. I mean, you look at, I think what they say at eXp Connor, something like 150 million in rev share paid out or whatever. Just get a small piece of that and it changes your life. So, that's the reality. It's a real thing. But, if you're skeptical, I think you just got to ask better questions. What are you skeptical of? Because the reality is, depending on your production, it's pretty clear that you're probably going to be better off at eXp financially than anywhere else you could be, even if you never brought on one agent. Right. But if you really pay attention to the model and you really pay attention to the systems and just like anybody that can learn how to call a for sale by owner or an expired, you can learn how to help an agent have more success. And you don't necessarily have to be wildly successful in order to do that. You just have to be committed to learning the skill. And so that possibility is there for anybody to build a passive income. And you'd be shocked at how it can grow. It's just insane. But I think it has to come from a place of wanting to help people, and I hear people make the mistake of trying to explain eXp all the time. This is the number one mistake people make. And unfortunately, people think they know what eXp is. I thought I knew what it was. And so if you asked me if I wanted to join eXp, which Al did not do, but if he had, I would have said, no, thank you. Right. Why the hell would you even ask? That's how I would have felt about it. Exactly. Because in my mind, I wasn't ever going to join a brokerage. And so another brokerage or, whatever. And so, that's the thing that people, you got to understand it's an educate and inform process. And we feel like there's videos out there that do a better job of telling the story so that people can get the truth about what it actually is, because usually they're so far off from what it's because they never did their research themselves. It's usually that somebody told them something, or somebody else, even a team leader in their office, or somebody's communicated something, but they never actually spent the time themselves to do the research. And it wasn't until I did that I learned. And so it's kind of funny, because I think people have this real clear understanding in their head of what it is, and it's so freaking wrong. It's just like, you can't talk about eXp because they think they know what it is. So you got to approach people where they're at. People aren't joining eXp for the stock and for the revenue share or the business model. They're joining eXp because they think that they can go from point A to point B in their business. And if they feel like they can do that, they'll come join us. And then they learn about the other things, in the process of usually before they come over. Sometimes it helps tip them over, but usually not. Right. It's just a byproduct of, a new revenue stream you have access to, two new revenue streams, if you look at it from the stock perspective too, that you just don't have those where you're at. So, would you rather have them or not have them? You don't have to pay for it. It's just an opportunity that exists. And but I think the majority of people, when we approach, when we're approaching them about eXp, it shouldn't be about eXp. It should be about how do we help them go from point A to point B? It's a needs analysis. It's how do we help solve a problem for them? And the reality is the tech that you get, the collaboration, the tools, all the things that you get on top of the other stuff is super gravy, like the best opportunity in the world. You're just lucky to have an opportunity to have. But reality is there's not a real estate agent in the business that we can't help solve what problem they have currently when they join us here. And that's the reason, a company doesn't grow fast just because it has a great compensation model. It grows fast because the results people are hoping for, that they get those results. Right. And that's what I think we do better than any other company.
No, I couldn't agree more. Some of the things I think about are, I tell people all the time, if you like more free time and you like more profit and you like equity and you like to have a little more peace of mind, this is probably a conversation you want to get involved in. And if those things aren't, if those aren't for you, then I don't really want to talk to you anymore. It would be about business.
It would be, man, it must be, I don't know what it would be like to be real stubborn. Maybe I do. My wife probably argued that I probably am more stubborn than most people. But
Imagine that.
I can't imagine like just saying no and no and no and like not ever being open-minded. And I think, you know, what we used to always say was, we said, man, you know, we always say yes until we have to say no, because we don't know, you know, if it's in alignment with our core values and it helps us with the vision. And, you know, and we ask questions like, how would we make it work if we were going to? We moved a $10 million coaching organization and a brokerage over to eXp. That's what we did. So like, I mean, like that was not something I woke up thinking was going to happen. So, but you got to ask better questions. Like, if this was going to work, how would it? How, you know, and the other thing I think people, you know, mistakenly think they're giving something up, right? Like, oh, I'm going to have to give up my dream and my vision. No, you're not. You're just putting it on a platform that you can grow it from bigger, faster, instantly across the world. And so, you know, I think there's a learning curve to understanding a progressive business model. You know, it's like, you know, Henry Ford, you know, when he asked people what they wanted, they just all wanted faster horses until they had cars, right? Like that's, you know, sometimes we don't know what we really want. And I think that this business model is another example of being so different that, you know, you have to invest the time to learn a little bit more about how it works before you start shooting it down.
No. And you know, I couldn't agree more than 100% on that.